Hey everybody, welcome to the Mad Panda podcast. I'm Silas.
This is Nate.
A couple dudes that like hip hop a lot, and figured we talk about it, share our opinions with the world, and see what people think. Hopefully, people like it, and will come back and listen to us more often. Um, Today we're just gonna get started. This is our first one. This is take two of our first one. First take was a little rambling and a little rough around the edges, so hopefully this one can get a little better.
Clean it up a little bit for
Yeah,
you guys.
maybe a little more focused. So with today we're just gonna talk a little bit about ourselves, where we come from, as far as our view on hip hop, and just why we like what we like and how that affects the way we listen to everything else. So, you want to start or you want me?
I'll go ahead and start. So I say, hip hop has been my life forever, I could say. And, you know, for me, my my favorite artist is Big Crit. And that's the way I see most of my music when I listen to music nowadays. I also have artists that I like back then and artists I like right now. So my biases are not always detrimental to new artists, especially when new artists come out, I actually still am in that age where I still like some of the stuff that is still coming out, whether it is right or very conscious and very educational. I'm on both sides of the spectrum most of the time. So yeah. So what about you, Silas?
Well, I've been listening to hip hop for a long time. I'm past the 50 mark, so I started back in 86, 87,
Uh-huh.
listening to just whatever was on the radio, what my friends were listening to. But then the one that really set it off for me was Strictly Business by UPMD. I remember a friend of mine loaned me the cassette, and that thing stayed at my Walkman all weekend long, and it just blew my mind. So that's what really set it off, and really like said, this is something that I love, and I'm going to be listening to forever, I think. Um, my favorite though would be De La Soul and Public Enemy.
They lost so on Public
Yeah.
Enemy.
Um, De La Soul just really blew me away the first time I heard 3 Feet High and Rising. I think it would have been Me, Myself, and I was the first song that they put out that I heard, and it was just something that was so different than what was on the radio. We had like EPMD and you had Rakim and all those that were kind of more, I guess, harder edged.
Yeah.
And then here comes these three guys, on their first video, they're sitting in this classroom and they're kind of like nerdy. There's like kind of hip hop stereotypes. There's like an LL Cool J character in the video, and there's different things, and they're just kind of these nerdy guys. And it was like the earlier stuff I loved, but I couldn't really relate to
Exactly.
necessarily. But this stuff was like I kind of feel like them, like I'm kind of an outcast or a nerd, and so it really just made me feel
Haven't you be yourself?
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
and that I could actually kind of belong and listen to that stuff, you know. Um, and then as far as Public Enemy, it was just being blown away by the political nature of it. Like it really, being a goofy kid from the suburbs, it was like kind of eye opening.
Yeah.
Didn't really see the world in the
Houses.
suburbs. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
and
Yeah, especially with Public Enemy, they was very powerful and,
yeah,
very straight to the point. It wasn't
yeah.
around the way with Chuck D, you know?
I know you knew exactly what he was talking about, and no, it really like. I mean, I'm pretty far left these days, and it directly
Because of that.
because of that. I mean, I can trace my current political opinion directly through Chuck D and probably like Night of the Living Bassheads and Rebel Without a Pause and all those. Like, so it really set it off. And I
Really
still,
great tracks too, by the way.
yeah, their Rebel Without a Pause was like that one really like blew my mind. The Night of the Living Bassheads, what caught me off guard was the video. If you've ever seen it, but it's almost like a news report with MC Light doing she's like the newscaster,
Yeah.
and there's a line in the song where he says, "Daddy always told me about somebody who was dead and they only had sneakers on his feet," something like that. I don't remember the exact line. There's like a chalk outline and there's tennis shoes at the bottom
At
of
the
it.
bottom.
But it would like play part of the song and then there would be like a little news report and then they play part of the song. So it was really kind of a
Yeah.
different style of video.
Uh-huh.
But it was like, wow, this is interesting. But then I heard Rebel Without a Pause and that with that siren and just the powerfulness of it was just
Yeah. They were without a pause with that.
yeah.
That right there. It was when I heard it, I forgot where I heard it at. However, I remember I was listening to it out loud, and somebody was like, "Man, can you turn it off? It's just annoying." I was like, "Nah, nah, man, this actually slapping right now." So
Yeah, like that siren can be irritating, but in that song, it's not. It's like perfect. Like
yeah,
it fits everything
I
about it.
feel like
Yeah,
I feel like they used it right.
yeah. I think it's an old horn from Fred Wesley and the Horning Horns. The way I think that's where the sample from. I'd have to look it up. But yeah, it's a, but it's just perfect. Like it fits everything in the mood of the song.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, it really, those two just really like set me on that different path, questioning things and wanting to know more. So
Yeah,
between those two, they really like, De La Soul gave me permission to be kind of nerdy and be myself, and then Public Enemy said, it's time to learn them too. So
that
yeah, so everything from then on now is basically that's the filter.
yeah,
Anything from like that
yeah.
era.
So you would like to your music pretty much you would like to be somewhere is unique and educational at the same time.
Yeah, I mean there's stuff that I like that I mean you can't go wrong with Pickin' Boogers by Biz Markie, but
Yes.
you know, but yeah, I like music that has some sort
For
of
the most
message.
part.
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, yeah, you can. There's lots of good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, it's definitely just like a big mixing pot. You know,
Yeah,
I just if I like the song, I like the song. It could be from down to the educational message it has in it, or it can be to where it's a vibe.
yeah,
Especially nowadays, it's not really more the lyrics that's catching people. It's more vibes. Like he might not even really be saying nothing, and you just like, but I like this song. I love this song. I don't know what it is about it. It's just the vibe that it catches. So
yeah.
I can definitely feel from both ends where I know people that are in your shoes who like don't care about a vibe. Like what is he saying on it? You understand? Or it's like
I wouldn't say I don't care about the vibe. 'Cause I mean, I do like the beat is the big part for me.
uh huh,
So I need like music that's gonna move me in some way.
yeah,
So the beat's got to be interesting. It's got to have good. I really prefer break beats and samples.
mhm,
That to me is kind of the foundation of hip hop is the sample. Like, I mean, that's where it started. Was like
yeah,
spinning break beats in the park and stuff like that. So that to me is like foundation. So that's what I've always liked. So it has a good vibe in that sense.
yeah,
I can sometimes put up with stupid lyrics and or just kind of party tracks and stuff like that.
yeah,
But overall the presentation's good because it has a good beat and stuff like that.
yeah.
So
I feel like if the artist is oh rec- how recommendable. If the artist has a catalog of good material and they come out with like one or two or like three or four like okay tracks or like party
yeah,
type stuff, I'm down with it. So like say like a Kendrick, Kendrick come out with a party song. Everybody knows what his reputation is. We know that he's a backpack rapper. He's an incredible MC.
right.
So we don't question, if he does have a party song
And
or
from the past for stuff that's not quite as
yeah,
whatever.
yeah, it's just like okay, he came out with one. However, I feel like if the roles were reversed, you have one of those party people or just like, one of those club anthems or something like that, or somebody who just likes the club music
Hmm.
and then they try to get lyrical. Sometimes it don't always go well
Yeah,
because it's like even if they are saying something, it's just like your whole catalog is not
yeah. It doesn't.
it's not up to this, my guy.
It doesn't sound genuine. It's like you're kind of
Yeah.
yeah,
It's like you trying to follow a trend now
yeah.
or trying to ride a wave or something.
I was gonna say with like one thing like with Dale also because I do like stuff that's intelligent or not necessarily intelligent, but has something to say. But at the same side,
Mhm.
when you look at their catalog, like you got songs like Buddy,
Yeah.
that's more like fun, like
They just yeah.
yeah, you got like some of their interludes, all the skits that they did. There's like song about
Game shows.
yeah, the game show, and then the song about a little bit of soap, and De La Ortiz, and just these kind of silly. So they were having a lot of fun, but then they come around and you've got like Ghetto Thing,
Yeah.
that's actually more of a conscious song, or Say No Go, which is like an anti-drug song.
Yeah.
So it's kind of yeah,
Mhm.
which was a great Hall and Oates sample, but
Yeah, no, that was from what I can't go for that.
yeah,
Is that what that was?
yeah,
Yeah,
that was what was really cool about that album too, because before it was like James Brown samples or old, just um
Yeah.
the whole damn family sample for from EPMD, things like that, the roll funk and stuff like that. And then these guys come out and they've got Steely Dan and they've got Hall and Oates.
You got everything but
Yeah.
hip hop in there.
Yeah, all this crazy, like, it was like, okay, we're not just pulling from funk and jazz, and
Yeah.
they're pulling from wherever, just whatever sounded, and they turned it into something good.
Honestly, that I feel like that is a very unique way to go about it, and that can show you who they are or who they were
Yeah,
in that, because it's kind of you putting a piece of you on that track to where it's, I might not, we might listen like they said back then, probably like James Brown and
yeah,
all these artists back then, like, black artists. However, if they were watching something on TV, like a school type of program or something like that, they
yeah,
pull that in and sample that. That shows a different side of it, because it's showing that one is showing like what you can use as your childhood
yeah,
to show how you came up, and also other people can relate to it, because even though everybody might not be listening to James Brown when they was younger and stuff like that, and
yeah.
then
It's like on Three Behind Rising, they did the three is a magic number, which was from the old multiplication rock, which were, I
no,
don't know if you're familiar with those. They were
nah,
like a bunch of songs, like educational Saturday morning cartoon, like interlude songs, like
yeah,
three is the magic number. There was like, I can't even think of them all. There's like, I think they had one for like every number. Yeah, they actually re-released the record for Record Store Day a few years ago, and it's,
really,
yeah, the multiplication rock, the whole bunch of songs. But that's one of the samples they did, and then you have like even like Wu-Tang Clan, they were sampling the Underdog soundtrack.
yeah,
The theme song to Underdog. So it's like, yeah, like you're saying, it's like your point stuff. It's not necessarily what where your parents' record creates. It's what you
whatever
watch
you
on TV
watch
or
on TV or
yeah. So that's I've always loved that part of hip hop.
yeah, and also with the Wu-Tang Clan, I would like to say that too. Just the thought of black people and I don't know, was it Chinese culture or whatever?
All the karate, like kung fu movies and all that stuff.
That was a wild mix, man. That was a
Yeah,
wild mix.
it's definitely, and they've. It seems like they're genuine, that they really bought into a lot of that philosophy, and
Yeah.
you know, they're all like chess players, and
Um,
they do uh, what, like meditation, yoga, and things like that. And they all
exactly.
do martial arts. I think they're all martial artists too, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
At least
Also,
Riz and Jizza are, I'm pretty
yeah.
sure. But
Also, they used to have this. 'Cause I know from the outside looking in, they don't really look as educated
yeah,
or, I guess, conscious.
they're kind of that like roughneck, that thug. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
However, like they would have this saying like, "What's today's mathematics?"
yeah,
And they would like say these certain. I don't know what today's mathematics is, but I guess they would have these certain codes or
yeah,
just morals that they had to live by.
yeah. A lot of their references are really like obscure
Yeah.
or just intellectual, kind of like.
Yeah, it was really crazy too. So I was like,
I mean, even Old Dirty Bastard, it was just crazy. But if you listen to a lot of his lyrics, there's a lot of like wisdom in there,
uh-huh.
or just you know knowledge. But you're like, it's hard to pull it in just because it was so like
Yeah, out
out
of
there.
there.
Yeah.
Old
So
Dirty was like everybody's crazy uncle.
yeah,
That's what he was.
I personally, he was my favorite. He's always been my favorite, and I
From
think,
the Wu-Tang?
yeah, I think his album, The Return to 36 Chambers, is my favorite of all the Wu Tang albums.
Oh
Yeah.
goodness. Yeah.
I mean, the production on that, I think, is some of the best production, and then
Yeah.
I just like the whole vibe of that album. I mean, there's can't compare, and that kind of goes back to just the vibe, like you were saying. I mean, there's you don't know what he's talking about half the time,
I know.
but it's still just like a great vibe and a great,
Yeah.
you know, the way he's rapping, the way he's wording things. There's some skill there.
Yeah. Also with that album, the 36 Chambers album, uh there's a lot of like fun parts in it as well, where it got this, because overall the album feels dirty.
Yeah.
It feels like it's just raw, dirty, and I think that's what we like about that album.
Oh yeah.
But there are also some funny parts in it to where I forgot where, I think it was like the Seventh Chamber. I think that's what the song is called. And I think Raekwon comes in. And he's like, "Yo, where my killer tape at, man?" And, and then he's like, "Some people came over me and they stole or something like that. Came out missing." And he's had this argument about having the tape missing. And so yeah, it was just a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Like their first album, the 36 Chambers, and then that one,
Uh-huh.
I like them so much because they have that really rough, raw,
Yeah.
dirty, like dusty feel to it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Some of the later Wu-Tang albums, they actually got a little too
polished.
polished, and it loses some of the edge for me. It's like I kind of like the rough kind of.
Yeah,
Sometimes it sounds like he just bumped the sample button and looped it, and it was like, oh, that worked. Like he wasn't even trying. Like they're like kind of these weird cuts in the samples, but they
yeah,
work in that way, and it's just his genius as a producer, but it still feels kind of raw and
yeah.
that's what I liked about
Definitely,
it.
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely raw.
yeah,
Definitely, and I feel like that's how it was with a lot of music back then. At least the ones I got to listen to.
yeah,
Um, Especially now with you introducing me to De La Soul with the 3 Feet High Horizon. There was a lot of on that album. There was a lot of samples
oh yeah.
to where I was just like, man, they sampling everything under the sun right now. And it kind of got like a little mixed in my head a little bit to where some of the samples was cool, and then I feel like some was a little too much.
Mm,
And I feel like with that album still, like even though it's probably my least De La Soul album, it's I can see why people like
yeah,
in a way, especially if you are in that I guess teenage stage because a lot of it is just playing around and finding out what you can do.
yeah. They were
But
still either in high school or just out of high school, so they were just making it up as they went along.
yeah,
I mean, Prince Paul, I think, was like 19 or 20, and he was the mentor of the group
dang,
because he'd been around a little while with Sonic, but he was still.
young.
I don't think he. I think he was 20 at the most, and so the other guys were like 17, 18, 19.
Yeah, that's young. That's
Yeah,
very young.
yeah, and you can see that in it, but at the same time, I think that's what helps with some of the genius of it because it is so like they didn't. There was no rule book for them. They were just doing whatever they
Yeah,
wanted to do.
straight innocence
Yeah,
is captured.
yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, with that, it's like man,
and I think like anybody that listens like started listening to hip hop now, where sampling isn't as prevalent.
no,
There's a few, and it's coming back a little bit more for that period from like late mid 2000s and on.
yeah,
There wasn't as much sampling. It was either like Puffy just doing a loop of whatever popular song
yeah, back then,
that was a sampling, or you had like some of the underground groups doing it. But all of the mainstream stuff is just more just music, produced and using loops and things like that.
yeah,
So I think going back and listening to something like that De La Soul record, it's a surprise to people to hear just how much was sampled.
definitely for me,
Yeah,
definitely for me. I mean, I'm like I said, I'm used to samples. However, that album in general was just a sample overload, and like I said, I was not ready for just all the samples that they had. And like I said, it wasn't like a bad idea. Also, it was something that I just personally just wasn't the
just a
feel
killer.
of it.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I feel like it was all kind of like the main thing I guess I could say I disliked about it was it didn't feel like they knew what they were doing, which obviously they didn't know what they was doing in general. Because like through their later albums, it's a lot more clean and the
yeah,
samples are a lot more you know put together and it's crispier.
yeah.
I
No, I
could
can see that. But I mean, for me, because it is my favorite album, so I'm a little biased. But I think it all sounds like I can see that are inexperienced in some ways, but at the same time, I think it does sound like a very well put together, solid, cohesive album.
okay.
But again, I mean, I've been listening to that album pretty solid for what
Oh, 30
30
plus years.
yeah, whenever it came out. I think I doubt a week's gone by that I haven't listened to at least one or two tracks off that album
Oh
since it came
man,
out. I mean,
yeah,
it it's on constant
yeah.
repeat.
Like you
It's just
love that
always there.
album.
Yeah,
You love that album.
yeah. I mean, their first three albums specifically, and then Stakes Aside as well.
Uh huh.
Those it's always
Yeah, I can definitely give them like props to where I feel like they were the pioneers to a lot of stuff. I mean I'm not sure because I wasn't living back there, but I do feel like they did pioneer a lot of being yourself,
yeah,
and so with that they have created groups like Odd Future, which is Tyler the Creator,
yeah.
and for me that is my De La Soul.
Well, I could see like comparing out the future to the whole native tongues. 'Cause, you had Daylock came out, then you had um actually Jungle Brothers were I think released their album first, and then De La, then Tribe Called Quest, and then Black Sheep. So that was the core of it. Um, but they came together as Native Tongues with Queen Latifah and Moni Love.
Yeah.
I think Shia Ali was in there at one point.
I heard everybody but Jungle Brothers. I don't know who they are.
You're missing out. I should pause right now, and I should make you go listen to Straight Out of the Jungle or Done by the Forces of Nature. And then come back. I mean, those Done by the Forces of Nature is that's another really important album.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, like I would say Low End Theory by Quest, Done by the Forces of Nature, and 360 High and Rising, and De La Soul's Dead. I would add those together. Those are like kind of my core
Four
for
hours.
that conscious style, that whole that's
Gotcha.
and depending on my mood, there's some days I may tell you that Done by Forces of Nature is the best of all those albums, and then another day I'll tell you it's Low End Theory.
Yeah.
More often than not, it's going to be that one of the two De La Soul albums, but those four albums kind of battle, and I would even put Black Sheep.
And Black Sheep is the one who's in his school, like,
Yeah,
or something like that, right?
yeah. That album is really it's different. I mean, it's got that production wise, it has that kind of sound, but they're kind of like, they play that persona of the black sheep of the family, so they're kind of a lot of the raps are a little dirtier, where most of the other stuff is more progressive.
Yeah. Those are within the native tongue group.
And you got Black Sheep, talking like, yeah, I mean, when you hear like there's a song at the beginning called "I Think I Was Hard," or I Thought I Was Hard, I think is the name of it. And it's like this been a long thing, and it's basically I woke up, my AK was broke up, and then it just goes on about like shooting his mom and stabbing his dad, and like, and then he like wakes up, and the other guy in the group was like, what was that? And he's like, I had a dream, I thought I was hard, so it's kind of like making fun of like
Wow.
hard edge, but and then from there, throughout the album, I mean, a lot of the songs are, like I said, there's some dirtiness to it, like there's some like Menage a Trois or something like that is one of the songs.
Okay.
But at the same time, then there's songs like Black with No Vision that is like,
Was it conscious?
Yeah, very conscious, talking, just basically, his point of view looking on the world and just being held down, and stuff like that. So I think Drez is actually a really underrated MC. He was the main MC from there. So, but yeah, between all of them, I mean, that's like a solid foundation for what I.
That's my first time seeing something like that. I guess you could say like all groups coming together.
Yeah.
All separate groups coming together, because it's hard enough to get one person to come up with a solo group in the first place. And you got groups and then another group and then another group going up.
Yeah, and I mean sorry, we got my dog here making noise. They never did a Native Tongues album, but there was like Posse Cuss. There was like Buddy.
Okay.
From Three Rising. There was Doing Our Own Thing from the Jungle Brothers album, and that had Jungle Brothers, De La, Moni Love, and I think Queen Latifah might have been on that one too. And then there was like Scenario, which actually brought in Leaders of the New School. That was on a Tribe Called Quest, yeah. So it was like De La and Tribe and Leaders of the New School. So they always just kind of worked together and did stuff, and Dress pops up on De La albums, and Q-Tip pops up, and they pop, so they all kind of like worked in there, but they're all kind of separate, but it was just this collective, and that's where like what you say in Odd Future.
Yeah,
I think it's kind of thing because you had Tyler the Creator, you had
Ocean, Earl Sweatshirt,
the Internet.
Internet, yeah.
The one, there's a DJ, what's her name? Female DJ, I think.
I think we're talking about Sid.
Yeah, Sid. Yeah.
Then they had like Haji Beats, Damo Genesis, Left Brain. They had a lot. It was like there's a whole Wu-Tang playing of people.
Yeah. But it was like, because like Wu-Tang was a group with a bunch of individual members.
Oh.
I think we're like Native Tongues, and I think Our Future was like groups and individual members that all kind of like.
Yeah.
So it's a little different, I think, than Wu-Tang, right?
But, yeah. Because Wu-Tang was just, I mean, I guess they came as a group of under Wu-Tang, but everybody kind of was individual.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I'm not too sure how the story goes, but I heard that RZA had a master plan on like monopolizing the game, and so he wanted Method Man to get signed to Def Jam, and then Old Dirty to get signed over here. And
he was trying to spread it out to take basically.
Yeah.
The whole everything was going to be Wu-Tang basically.
Yeah.
And to a point, they succeeded, I think.
Yeah, right. Wu-Tang is for the children. But yeah, as for our future wise, the correlations I see with De La Soul is like you said, when you first listened to hip hop, it was mainly just like you said Strictly Business was like the first album you listened to, right?
Like the first one that really
Oh, that really
got me.
caught you.
Yeah. I mean, I heard Beastie Boys, Run DMC, and stuff like that before, but
Yeah,
that was the one that really.
that really got you. And it's more a hard edge, and that's kind of how it was before Our Future came out. Because right before Our Future came out, there was the ASAP Mob, like ASAP Rocky,
Yeah.
ASAP Ferg, and all them. And
And these guys come out and they're just
these come out, they're bubbly. And
yeah,
they're just wild.
and it's weird. It's like
Yeah,
just doing whatever the hell they wanted.
yeah. I
Yeah,
think that's the main thing. They was weird as hell.
yeah, and I think they've just gotten weirder.
Yeah,
You know.
As they keep progressing on. I mean, I think it's mainly just Tyler, him just being him.
Yeah,
Is like because he was like the person who held the flag.
he was like the RZA for them, right? Like
Yeah.
he was.
So
Yeah,
and just seeing that, especially coming out of that era of I don't want to say darkness because hip hop wasn't considered dark, but you have groups like ASAP and it's kind of like more
kind of
mellowed
like
down and
yeah.
especially early ASAP, he was like had this very Houston vibe
Okay.
to where everything was slowed down and stuff. So when you came out with Our Future, that was just the wildest thing. We was like, yo,
Yeah,
who's these crazy cats? They skateboarding and and crazy thing they could actually rap too. That was the
yeah.
crazy thing. They could actually rap. And they made some crazy music. Now I swear if you go back and listen to Our Futures or Tyler's like first album or anything like that, their first kind of compilation of songs, it probably be the same way that you feel how I feel about 3 feet, right? Because it's feel like it's nothing kind of put together. It's kind of all over the place. But I like those songs just because I was there for that.
Like I do. I listened to it when it came out. I remember they started popping up, and I saw the Sod Future. I'm like, what is this? And Tyler the Creator. And I tried to listen to some of it, but it wasn't. I wasn't feeling it at the time. I mean,
Yeah.
granted, at the time I kind of drifted away from a lot of hip hop. I was listening to a lot more punk and metal at that time.
Okay.
Still kind of a more old school hip hop, but
Yeah.
most of the newer stuff was a lot of punk at that time. So I kind of drifted. So when I was listening to it, it was like, I don't get it. I was maybe a little older, so I had that old man vibe, like, yeah,
Yeah.
the old man screaming at clouds type of thing. Like, I don't,
Oh,
But over time, I've gone back. I've listened a little bit, and I would say most of the Odd Futures, like as a group, I haven't really got into. Tyler the Creator I'd say he has one or two good songs on every album that I've listened to.
yeah.
Like, they really capture like what I like about hip hop.
Okay.
And then the other stuff is like I can respect it, but it's just not my thing. Like I just listened to his latest album,
Oh,
that from I don't know, it starts with a K or something like that. It just dropped like 2 or 3 weeks ago,
yeah, I didn't listen. I
and
didn't check them out yet.
I could appreciate it,
Mhm. But
but it wasn't.
no,
Yeah,
it's not for you.
yeah, I could tell like it was good, but yeah, like you said, it's just not mine. So it's one of those like, oh, I'm glad I listened to it. Give the guy, give him his props and stuff. But
Yeah,
yeah,
not for you.
yeah, I'll just put it away and move on to go back to
Yeah.
some De La.
So you're right.
Yeah,
So with Tyler, I think he gained his popularity more on the shock value at first
yeah, I definitely think so.
because when he first came out, he ate a roach. I mean, I don't know if it was real or not. I never really like dived
Yeah,
into it and see if he really ate that roach or not. I heard he did, but pretty much we wasn't allowed to listen to Tyler just
Mhm.
because he was an atheist.
Oh,
And
okay.
he kind of, I mean, we all had our own like, especially this generation now, we have our own like battles with Christianity.
Yeah,
But when you have somebody coming out and that's like,
yeah. I think you did a lot of like said a lot of controversial things
yo,
too,
yo,
like a
yo,
lot of
a
like
lot, a lot of,
just to say, just to be controversial.
yeah.
But,
And
I
he
don't.
said none of it. He was like taking serious. Like it's like he was like
He's
saying,
basically kind of making like a shock
yeah,
comedian, just saying
he
stuff to
was
offend
17
people.
at the time.
Yeah,
So he's like, I was a kid still,
yeah,
And I think that's the way he kept getting away with it because every time we have the whole cancel culture.
yeah,
So every time Tyler would say these controversial things, it would be cool in the moment. And then like a couple of years later down the line, we're like, oh, we should,
you should have said that.
we shouldn't have said that. We should ban Tyler. But then now the Tyler now is a whole different person from the Tyler
Yeah,
3 years ago. And then it keeps going like that. And then he'll say something wacky or stupid that's in this moment, and then next year later, he's somebody completely different.
He's one that, yeah, he does keep changing and kind of like morphing into,
Yeah.
still kind of the same,
Uh-huh.
just changing
It's like he keeps
sometimes for the better, some
elevating.
not. But,
Yeah, it's kinda like he keeps elevating his version of himself,
yeah,
which is a good thing, you know?
I mean, you got to grow. I mean, if
Mhm.
you say something offensive and you stick with it, and even though you know it was offensive, that's kind of like, come on, dude. But
Yeah.
if you like say, yeah, I did say something back then that was kind of offensive. I realize it, and I apologize for that. And then you don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
I think you got to give people a chance.
Yeah,
You can't
exactly.
just shut somebody down for something they said 10 years ago if they're showing that they've changed and that they've kind of grown from it.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's plenty of stuff that I listened to from early on that I cringe to something. There's some NWA stuff that
Oh,
I still love, but you know where Easy's like, I reach back and back, and I'm always like,
yeah.
eh,
Yeah.
stuff like that. And there's you know a lot of anti-gay lyrics,
Oh, yeah.
homophobic
Yeah.
lyrics in the early hip hop that you know I still listen to, but
Yeah, it's
hard
kinda
kind of like
like,
still,
the same way how I feel about DMX too, because DMX
yeah,
has some
that is sucks.
very, very dirty and I'd say unexcusable things in his music.
Yeah,
It was, things where when I listen to it now, I'm just like, wish he had said that. Yeah.
yeah, like Punks Jump Up to Get Beat Down by Brand Nubian is one of my favorite songs.
No,
It's
yeah.
got yeah, the horn sound, like,
Uh-huh.
but there's some lines in there that are, you know,
Yeah.
yeah. I guess at the time, it's funny because I look back and even at that time I knew, even when it first came out, I think,
Like,
you shouldn't
yeah.
have said
You
that.
shouldn't
But
have, yeah, went through this.
but it wasn't. I was still a kid. It was like, yeah, whatever.
Uh-huh.
But now you can listen to it.
It's
Like,
even harder to listen to now.
yeah, and I'm not sure. I don't know what they've ever addressed that. But
Uh-huh.
I know Lord Jamal's pretty vocal online these days.
Oh, okay.
But so I don't know if they've ever addressed that or not. But I mean, it's still a great song, and that beat is incredible.
Yeah. I remember seeing Lord Jamal and because the only reason why I knew of him was it's not from Brand Nubian, but it was from his feud he had with not even a feud, because it was just a solo feud that he had with Eminem.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, he was saying that white rappers aren't part of the culture, like the rap culture,
yeah.
and he was saying that Eminem is not part of the culture. He just a guest that we have in the culture,
What do you
and
think about that?
I disagree. I heavily disagree because I feel like Eminem is not a guest. He is definitely here to stay. He is part of the culture. I don't think the culture should reside only on skin color.
Yeah,
So, especially like with you, because as you showed me a lot of rap songs that was very uplifting in consciousness to like, black people. And so not even having that in my own, like not even like my older people or people who's living in the era passing that down to me, and I'm having to find out through a white man. You could say that it shows you that color should matter.
yeah,
And then it's some of the music that you have gave me is pretty much teaching me how to be a better black man too. Like yeah. So I wouldn't definitely say it's down to a certain color, because you can still be part of the culture without being not being born into it. I can say
yeah,
it can still be installed inside of you. Now, I'm not saying like anybody could just come up here, walk up in here, and just be like
yeah,
yeah, I know such and such and such and such, because I feel like there are some rappers, white rappers, who's not part of the culture
yeah,
who rap and like MGK. I feel like he's a great MC. Like he can definitely rap, but he's definitely not part of the culture.
yeah,
So yeah, I definitely agree with anybody on that. Um, Another white rapper who is part of the culture, I feel, is Paul Wall.
yeah,
Like Paul Wall, is definitely part of the culture of hip hop. I mean, even though a lot of people might not too much know of him, because
more centralized.
yeah, more centralized,
Yeah,
yeah, South.
yeah.
And I'm trying to think of any other white rappers out there
Oh,
that
there's a lot. But
Yeah, and there's a lot, but I don't know why none of them coming to my mind right now.
because when anybody thinks white rapper, they always think Eminem.
Yeah,
Everybody
Eminem
else
was
gets
the
kind of like pushed under the rug.
Mhm.
There's a ton of really good season. Everybody says Eminem's the greatest white rapper, but
Uh-huh.
I would honestly put Idea up there. And
It's
he,
the idea.
yeah, he passed away, but that guy was a hell of a rapper.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's an MC's MC right there. So, and then even like St. Francis. So I don't think we've talked about him.
No,
We should.
I haven't.
He's one of the best out there, and there's a lot. In fact, there was something recently on one of the Facebook groups that I follow, and they were like, says Eminem, who's the top white rapper, and I forget who I posted. I think it put like Idea and Slug from Atmosphere, um, Sage Francis, Aesop Rock.
Okay.
Yeah, not Aesop
And
Rock,
it's a Rocky.
but Aesop Rock.
I said rock.
Yeah. So, back to what talking about being part of the culture and stuff. Like for me, like I mean, I feel like I can belong to an extent because I started listening to it when I was 12
Yeah.
and fully immersed myself in it and
Uh-huh.
listen and I read and watch. I mean, I try to read every book about hip hop that I've seen.
Yeah, you are hip hop.
Yeah, I mean, but at the same time, I still feel like I'm kind of a guest in some sense, but some of that might just be because I've never felt like I belonged anywhere. So, but at the same side, it's like I do recognize, it's not white culture, it's black culture.
Yeah.
So I think I can belong to an extent,
Uh-huh.
but I'm still kind of like
In that.
a guest, like more than just a guest, but not like a full member. I guess I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's
Okay.
but I do feel like I have the right to
Give your opinion on
give my
something.
opinion on it.
Yeah.
I mean, I know full well I'm not like my opinion doesn't really mean anything. It's just my opinion, and I'm not gonna sit here and say,
Such
what I'm saying is law. That's not, but I do think I have the right to say, yeah, like I like this, I like that, I don't like this, So, and I think I've earned that just because of how much I've listened to for the year.
Yeah, you definitely listen to a lot of
Yeah.
hip hop. And like I said, you showed me a lot of things that I didn't even know that existed.
I got way more to show you.
Yeah. Yeah, you still got more to show me. And a lot of it is positive. It's not like,
Yeah.
the ones I know is mainly mainstream or still like
Right.
get it dirty.
Yeah, I get a few of those, but yeah, I definitely tend to go more towards that. Not necessarily like positive, I'd say more abstract or progressive style, like where some of it is, like Buck 65. You wouldn't we I,
Oh
you
yeah,
just he's not necessarily positive or conscious, but he's the abstract as hell.
Yeah, very, very abstract. Yeah, very abstract.
I still think he should be more popular than he is, but I also understand why he's not.
Yeah,
Because he is kind of
out there.
out there, but his respect for hip hop and his production skills and his DJ skills,
Yeah,
he should be brought up more, in my opinion. But I do understand why people kind of don't feel him as much just because lyrically he's kind of out there.
yeah. I feel like he definitely have to be one of those where you are in the mood for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you just can't just slap him on it.
No, you've got to, yeah. And he's got a very large and just all over catalog of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
the only one I heard was
I think it was Punk Rock
Punk
Keyboard,
Rock,
right?
yeah,
Yeah,
Punk
that's
Rock
his
Keyboard.
latest album. And I think we talked before where he came out in like the late 90s, early 2000s. And then he kind of drifted towards more of a electronic kind of almost a folk kind of hip hop vibe, and then he just left for a while. And then 4 or 5 years ago, he started dropping some new albums just out of the blue.
Yeah.
And they've been some of his best albums, and they're really like a return to classic hip hop, like the style of the early '80s, mid '80s, late '80s, and then the cutting and stuff. So yeah. That said, we were not supposed to ramble, but I think we took off the line, and we already blew through 40 minutes. We were trying to.
Okay. Yeah, you're cut it down, so 30 minutes.
So let's wrap this one up. I think hopefully you guys are enjoying what you're hearing. Once we get this out there on Facebook or wherever, feel free to give us some feedback.
Yes, definitely do. Give us some feedback, tips, anything that can help us out.
Yeah.
Definitely comment.
And I'm working on getting more animated. That's some of the feedback we've heard already, but being on camera and being on a mic is not my
yeah, it's gonna take some getting used to. However, we're gonna get better.
We're gonna keep it up.
This is the Mad Panda podcast.
Yep. Thanks for listening, and come on back next time.
All right. See you
All right.
guys later.